What's up, guys? Jason here, back to my channel. Tonight we'll be doing a review for Aew Dynamite and stuff, and let's go and get to it then. This week's show kicks off with the live shot inside the DCU Center as Adam Copeland's theme music immediately hits the house speakers. Um, the Radar superstar emerges with a ton of energy, pumping up the already pumped up crowd, and Worcester as he makes. I hope I said that right. Um, he makes his way to the ring. The TNT champion settles inside the ring as Excalibur Tony Schiavone welcome us to the show. Copeland says he came out tonight to talk to us. He didn't bring his TNT towel. He just wants to talk about something. Unfortunately, for Copeland twice now he has bad microphone issues without feedback squeals. Yeah, it was kind of messing up the microphone and all that stuff. But yeah, anyways, he forges ahead and talks about how great it is to be a pro wrestling fan right now. He says we're all fans of pro wrestling himself, included. He says he grew up with watching WWF. Someone boos. He says that's no reason to boo. He says he watched all of it. He watched NWA Stampede of out of Calgary. He watched wrestling in Vancouver and Montreal. He watched it all because he loves professional wrestling. He said for 9 years he had this torn away from him. When he finally got it back, he loved it so much. But when he sat down and started thinking about the end of his career, he realized that AEW is where he needed to end his career. He said some people didn't understand, but he looked at the AEW roster and saw a murder's row of talent. He says he's been in some of the biggest locker rooms in history. Excuse me. And he'll put the current AEW locker room against any other of all time. He lists some of the many talents he can work with in AEW by name. Very many, actually. He named a lot of people. Copeland says he's having a blast right now. He says this isn't a knock to anyone or any place else, but this is the most fun he's had in his entire career. Fans chant AEW, AEW, AEW. He says he celebrates the men that started AEW, the Bucks, Kenny, Cody, and Tony Khan. He says that should be celebrated. He's a fan just like all of you. The Radar superstar says AEW should be celebrated. He says AEW makes wrestling better. He says AEW is where the best wrestle. He says he's sorry, but he had to get out his chest. He says he asked for this time to say that. He says now it's time to move forward. He says there's a reason Okada, Mercedes, Osprey, and himself came to AEW without any hesitation. He gives us the man that will carry AEW to the next level. He gives us the aerial assassin, Will Osprey. With that said, Osprey's theme hits and out he comes in his ring gear with the fancy robe on as Copeland is shown with the big smile on his face. Oh yeah, the first I'm sorry, Battle of Wills. It says right here. It says Will Osprey versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Um, Osprey sells in the ring and shakes hands with Helm Copeland, who now has his TNT over his shoulder. Copeland exits the ring and Osprey continues to play to the crowd as his music plays. He takes the fancy robe off and music dies down. Now the theme for Powerhouse hits, and out comes the fellow Don Callis family member. Don Callis sells in on special guest commentary for this one. Our opening contest of this week's show in a battle dubbed as the Battle of Wills. The bell sounds and for sure this one. Hobbs launches Osprey across the ring to gasps from the crowd to start this one off. Callis talks on commentary about two Don Callis family members doing battle once again. This match comes after Osprey recently defeated Kanoshi Takeshita in another inner Don Callis family battle in AEW. Osprey starts to fight back, looking to chop the bigger man down with an assortment of kicks. Osprey hits a big top rope spot to Hobbs on the floor, and then dives through the ropes to Hobbs on the floor. Osprey runs Hobbs into the barricade. Osprey looks to leap off the barricade with a high spot but Hobbs catches him in the suplex position. He holds him like that and marches him to the ring, where he suplexes him onto the steel. Hobbs takes over on the fence. From that point, Hobbs scoops Ospreay and launches him overhead, where he crashes on the commentary desk in the background. On that note, we should gears into a mid-match commercial break as our battle wheels opener continues. When we return from the break, we see Hobbs manhandle Ospreay in the ring for a few minutes until Ospreay fires back up for the finish, which sees him hit a big top rope spot and a follow up for the pin. So the winner is Will Ospreay, and it was a good match. Second match is Bryan Danielson versus Murdoch Monster Lance Archer. After the match, John Cass has to pull apart Hobbs and Ospreay as Hobbs loses his cool and angrily gets in Ospreay's face. Once that settles down, Ospreay exits the ring and begins heading to the back as his music plays. His music stops as he is halfway up the ramp, and the theme for Bryan Danielson plays. Out comes his opponent for the upcoming AEW Dynasty 2024 pay-per-view, the American Dragon, and the Aerial Assassin give each other a look as they pass by one and another on the ramp. Danielson then proceeds into the ring and poses on the ropes in the court in his ring gear as we get ready for our second match of the evening. On that note, we should gears to a quick pre-match commercial break. When we return from the break, the theme for the Murdoch Monster Lance Archer hits, and out he comes for the first ever match against Danielson. As soon as he hits the ring, the fight is on as Archer goes right after Danielson. The bell sounds to make it official, and the Murdoch Monster continues to maul Danielson and control the early action with ease. Danielson starts to chop down the big man with kicks to the leg. Some more, and then the action spills out to the floor again. This time, we see Archer hit a ringside official and slam him onto Danielson. We head to a mid-match commercial break as the action continues. When we return, we see some back and forth shifts and offensive control. So finally, Danielson hits a running knee for the win. After the match, the commentaries run down what is still to come tonight. And then we head to another commercial timeout with Chris Jericho scheduled to call out Hook when we return. So the winner is Bryan Danielson. So yeah, again, Chris Jericho calls out Hook segment. As we sail back in from the break, we see Renee Paquette on the entrance ramp. She introduces her guest, at this time, Lionheart, Chris Jericho. Out comes Chris Jericho to the White Zombie music. He talks to Paquette about him offering to be Hook's mentor. He says, even though Hook agreed, there was something he said that stuck with him, so he asked to bring him out. The Hook symbol flashes in the arena, and then we hear the familiar sounds of Action Bronson as FTW champion Hook makes his way out. Jericho brings up Hook, saying he would appreciate his advice, but I know who you are. He quotes his theme and how it references Jericho pushing away people close to him. He says that's true. He then offers some advice to Hook and says when he understands that, he'll get what he's trying to teach him. He says he isn't asking him to trust him, but believe in me as much as he believes in you. Hook says he believes in Chris so much so that he got them a match on AEW Collision. He says he'll be keeping his eye on him and extends his hand. They shake, and Jericho says he wouldn't expect anything less. Alright. Backstage, Shane Taylor Promotions mentioned how they are going to make names for themselves this week. They revealed they are the opponents for Lion Hook. Later this week, it will be Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty take on Chris Jericho and Hook on AEW Collision, which starts at special time of 11:30 this Saturday. So where I'm at, it'll start at 10:30 to 12:30 because it's a 2-hour show. Alright, next match is Jay White versus Daddy Ass Billy Gunn inside the DCU Center again. The theme for Jay White hits, and out comes Switchblade with the guns. Sal Bang Bang Gang spinning spotlight entrance as he turns Howard, his opponent for our next match of the evening, standing in his face. Oh shit, hold on. Shit. Hold on, guys. I was trying to scroll down and, Ryan's face. Daddy asks. Billy Gunn immediately attacks the man who broke into his house on last week's show. He beats up Wyatt all the way down to the ring and eventually brings him inside where the bell finally sounds. Gunn immediately decks Wyatt and knocks him out of the ring. We see the Acclaim watching on via monitor backstage as Gunn continues to work over Wyatt at ringside. The Guns are also shown watching the action on a monitor in a different area backstage. Gunn and Wyatt fight into the crowd now, with Gunn chasing Wyatt all over the building. As Gunn continues to dominate the fence, we shift gears and head to a mid-match commercial break. When we return, we see Gunn working over Wyatt in the ring, with the commentators informing us that Gunn has been dominating the fence from the word go so far. Wyatt finally hits a move, but Gunn cuts off Wyatt's momentum and immediately takes right back over control of things. After he gets back to work, Gunn is distracted when on the big screen in the entrance area. We see his partners Max Caster and Anthony Bowens on the Acclaim laid out in the back. Daddy Ass heads out to the ring area and grabs a steel chair. He heads back in the ring with bad intentions, but before he can do anything, we see his sons, the Guns, sprint in the ring, themselves over White. They beg off, but end up sneaking a cheap shot to Gunn. The referee calls for the bell. Upon seeing the low blow, the ring announcer announcing that he has Billy Gunn as the winner via disqualification. As White and the Guns look to begin a 3-on-1 beatdown of Gunn, the theme for the Acclaim hits and Caster and Bowens run out to make the save. So winner via disqualification, Daddy asks Billy Gunn. Alright, now we have a segment coming up. We see live of the Young Bucks duo Matthew and Nicholas Jackson wearing that Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels colored suits for the first Dumb and Dumber movie. As they arrive to the DCU, the best friends are also shown arriving wearing matching jackets, including the Trent's mom suit. Back inside the DCU center, Renee Paquette is on the microphone on the entrance ramp, and she introduces her guests at this time. The number one contender to the AEW TBS Women's Championship, Willow Nightingale. Nightingale makes her way out, and Paquette asks her how she feels, knowing she just weeks away from challenging Julia Hart for the TBS Women's Championship at AEW Dynasty 2024. Willow says she feels freaking great, and asks the Worcester crowd how are they feeling tonight. She talks about busting her butt in this town for years a while ago, where she would wrestle in a little place called the White Eagle, which gets a big pop from the live crowd. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway are shown playing to the crowd reactions in the background. Will calls this a home away from home, and the place where she learned who Willow Nightingale is. She said every time she asked herself if someone like her belonged or could make it in wrestling, Cheers reassured her. She says it's what helped water her and made her blossom into who we see today. The women who will challenge Julia Hart for the TBS Women's Championship, she says she's so confident due to the fan support that she knows she's going to become the smiling face of TBS. Stokely Hathaway says last week she had what young kids would call a banger and knocked it out of the park. She says week after week after week she impresses him and the entire world as he continues to talk. The theme for Mercedes Moné cuts him off, and out she comes to chants of CEO, CEO. Monet says she's excited to see Will Terada when she faces Julia Hart at AEW Dynasty for the TBS Women's Championship, because whoever merges with the title will be facing her next at AEW Double or Nothing 2024 in Las Vegas, Nevada. After this, we head to another commercial break. Alright, next match is AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament semifinals, the Young Bucks versus Best Friends. Alright, when we return from the break, the theme for the Young Bucks hits, and out comes AEW EVPs and former AEW World Tag Team Champions Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. They sell into the square circle for this AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament semifinal. After after their music dies down, the theme for opposition plays, and out comes the best friends duo of Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. The bell sounds official for this one with the turning semifinal action. We see some good back and forth, fast paced action coming straight out the gate to get this one off to a hot start. After Matthew and Nicholas sell into a comfortable offensively, they join Taz, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur on commentary personally, sending us into a mid-match break as the match continues. Uh, as we settle back in from the break, we see things pick up in this turning semifinal. But after the Young Bucks come close to finishing things off, we see Trent and Orange fire up for a hot combat. Trent's mom, Sue, gives Trent a kiss and he fires up and sprints at Jackson, who catches him and rolls him up for the pin. So winners and advancing to AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament finals, the Young Bucks. Alright, after the match, we see the Young Bucks celebrating their win, which takes them to one half of the finals to determine the new AEW World Tag Team Champions at AEW Dynamite 2024 on April 21st in St. Louis, Missouri. Jackson is overheard telling Trent's mom, Sue, cry me a river at ringside off mic coincidence. From there, we see a dejected Orange Cassidy and Trent sitting in the ring following their defeat. The two eventually get up to a good reaction from the crowd, which quickly burns to shocking gasp from the collective Worcester crowd as Trent shockingly attacks on Cassidy, turning heel. We head to another break. So yeah, Trent turned heel and turned his back on the best friends. Alright, so AEW Women's Championship number one contender match: Mariah May versus Thunder Rosa, who will take on Thomas Tony Starr next for the AEW for the AEW Women's World Championship. It's time to find out as we turn from the break to the ring entrance of Mariah May, who is accompanied by Thomas Tony Starr and Luther the Butler. Storm joins the gang. Thunder is out next, and the former hold on guys, sorry, AEW Women's World Champion, who never lost her title in the ring. Inside the square circle, her music dies down, and the bell sounds to get this official off and running. Story makes a bad joke about the Thunder Rosa being a dog and bringing up the uncomfortable situation regarding Tony Schiavone's dog, Buggity Bug, dying recently. We head to a match commercial break as the action continues, and this number one contenders match for the AEW World Women's Championship continues. When we return from the break, we see more back and forth action with Rosa and May, each having their moments until ultimately Rosa emerges victorious via pinfall. After the match, she gets in Tony's face at ringside as their title bout for AEW Dynasty 2024 is announced. So, winner and AEW number one contender to AEW Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa. Alright. Alright, now we got the signed contract in his AEW 2024 contract for World Championship match. Alright, main event time, segment time. Excalibur announces Adam Copeland versus Penta Azel Metal for the TNT Championship for next week's episode of AEW Dynamite. The match announced came after a brief backstage promo from Penta Azel Metal, who mentioned being on a goal to capture gold in AEW. Also announced Penta Azel Metal versus Commander for this week's episode of AEW Collision, which is noted begins at special start time 11:30/10:30 Central this coming Saturday night after it is taped tonight, which is they taped it during Dynamite. So after Dynamite was over, once those announcements are wrapped up, we return inside the DCU Center where Tony Schiavone has left commentary desk and is in the ring for our final segment of the evening. Alright, he introduces us to the official contract signing for the AEW World Championship match at the upcoming AEW Dynasty 2012 pay-per-view on April 21st in St. Louis, Missouri. He then introduces the challenger for the bout, number one ranked contender Swerve Strickland. Out comes the Mongol Bassi leader, accompanied by the goofy dance prince Nana. He sells in the ring and his music dies down. The theme for the AEW World Champion plays next, and out comes Samoa Joe. Joe takes a seat and sets his belt down. He immediately signs the contract. Swerve packs back and forth without ever taking a seat. Joe tells Tony to shut up and takes mic. He tells Swerve he thought he'd give him a little bit of advice before he signs the contract. He calls it doom and destruction and a career-defining mistake to sign that contract. Joe claims if Swerve signs the contract, he'll beat him down in the ring, and so much so that he'll feel like someone who's stuck around a Diddy party too long. The crowd oohs and ahs at the line, as you would expect. Swerve responds and ends speech calling Joe a bitch. Man, the leads to the two getting physical and they brawl in the ring like every contract signed for a big title match ends. Joe ends up getting hold of Swerve's big chain and beats Swerve down until he is busted open and bleeding. As he goes to leave, Swerve laughs into the mic, covered in blood. Swerve says he loves this shit, and that if that's all Joe's got, he's going to be losing his AEW World Championship at AEW Dynasty. Joe ends up knocking Swerve off through the table. Joe leaves the Mongol Basti leader unconscious and laid out to end this week's show as Excalibur plugs their showdown at AEW Dynasty 24 in St. Louis. That's how the show wings and all stuff, blah, blah. Alright, so that was a good show and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty good. And, yeah, good show. So, I, don't get me wrong, it wasn't boring or nothing. I almost fell asleep on it. It wasn't boring or nothing. I think 'cause I didn't take a good nap or whatever. But, anyways, it wasn't boring. So I was trying to keep away. I was drinking some Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew also, but kind of helped a little bit, but whatever. I'm still kind of sleepy, but anyways, that's not important. Anyways, it was a good show and stuff, and I enjoyed it. Some good matches. Will Ospreay as always. So yeah, but anyways, that was it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this. If not, whatever, like Sky favorite and all that stuff. So yeah. Anyways, I see y'all in the next video. Laters.